It would appear that we as Fourways Gardens residents have been misled. At the 2010 AGM, 96% of residents voted against the Vodacom cell phone tower being erected along the K56. Minutes from this meeting show that a resolution was passed that the Fourways Gardens Homeowners Association and Board were not permitted to enter into any discussions or investigate telecommunication network cellular reception within the estate without notification, engagement in the process, and approval from all the residents. However, in 2014, without approval of the residents, the Homeowners Association Board engaged Vodacom regarding fibre to the home and the installation of base stations within the estate. Before engaging with and getting approval from residents, the Homeowners Association Board already resolved in September 2014 to authorise a board member to investigate this project and give Vodacom the go-ahead. To cater for a no vote by the residents, the Homeowners Association Board resolved that the project be installed as soon as possible in 2014, and if residents don't approve the project, then the Fourways Gardens Homeowners Association would reimburse Vodacom for the full cost of fibre line between the Gatehouse and the estate office. In 2014, the Homeowners Association Board already knew that the technology was referred to as base stations. No reference was made to boosters. Yet on 11 December 2014, notice to the EGM of 21 January 2015, the wording of the proposed resolution suddenly did not make reference to base station or masts or towers. These base stations were purportedly approved at the EGM of 21 January 2015. The presenters at this meeting called these base stations boosters to get the fibre line between the Gatehouse and the estate office for free from Vodacom. The 2015 EGM purportedly approved the installation of 2 boosters and that the duration of the contract would be 5 years. Yet, in November 2015, a 10-year lease agreement was signed for the fibre and 2 base station sites. Boosters and base stations are 2 very different things. A booster merely extends the range of a cellular signal and is used in a relatively small setting, such as a home. A base station is a cell tower, typically comprising of 3 antennas, which provide significant network coverage and increased capacity for the service provider. Notices to attend these meetings were sent to residents on 11 December 2014 and 9 January 2015, when residents were either still away, on school holidays, or starting back at work in a new year. These notices read Information Session Fibre Solution to Improve Connectivity in Fourways Gardens. There was no mention of cell phone towers in Fourways Gardens. In September 2016, shortly after the base station at the Phase 1 Gatehouse was erected, FGERA requested Vodacom and the Homeowners Association Board to cease and desist its operations and provide details regarding the projects. In October, the new Homeowners Association Board was elected and a subcommittee was established to look into the matter and devise a solution regarding the way forward. Today's session is a roundup of the dispute regarding the installation of 2 base stations on the estate office roof and 1 base station on the Phase 1 Gatehouse roof, with another one to be installed on the Phase 2 Gatehouse according to the Vodacom contract and plans. The new Homeowners Association Board met with Vodacom, where it was communicated to Vodacom that the residents voted for boosters and not base stations, and that no proper public participation process was followed at the EGM of 21 January 2015. And that the estate would have to revert back to this process. Vodacom agreed in writing that the base stations will not be turned on until 28 February 2017 or until approval is received from the legally constituted Fourways Gardens Homeowners Association. Vodacom provided documentation showing detailed negotiations with the previous Homeowners Association boards regarding the cell phone towers installed in Fourways Gardens. It indicated Vodacom's plans to roll out the Fourways Gardens project in 2 stages. Stage 1, to install 2 base stations at the Phase 1 Gatehouse and Phase 2 Gatehouse, and 2 base stations at the estate office. Each site would consist of 1 base station for Vodacom and 1 base station for another mobile operator. Then Stage 2, to install a further 2 base stations at each of the other 12 sites within Fourways Gardens, a total of 28 base stations. The risk of more base station sites being installed within the estate without the consent of affected landowners is very much a real possibility. FGERA was afforded the opportunity to present to the new Homeowners Association Board on 22 November 2016. Concerns were also raised around the risk that the estate may only have 180 days to review Vodacom's decision to install these base stations in court, as Vodacom initially declined to waive the period. Over a 3-week period, FGERA, in conjunction with the Homeowners Association Board, tried to secure guarantees from Vodacom that they will not install any other base stations without the express consent of affected landowners, and rely on the 180-day deadline for reviewing their decision in court. After further engagements with FGERA, Vodacom did eventually confirm that the 180-day deadline would not be applicable to the present case. However, Vodacom did not provide an undertaking confirming that no further base station sites would be installed without the express consent of the affected landowners. Vodacom has stated that it has not yet exercised its statutory servitude rights in terms of Section 22 of the Electronics Communications Act, but it refuses to undertake not to do so in the future. This means that servitudes created by this Section 22 may still be utilized at a later stage to roll out the other 12 base station sites within the estate. The 2 rooftop base station sites have already been installed on the Phase 1 Gatehouse and estate office. The other 12 base station sites could come later. These 12 other base stations may come with attached electrical boxes, which look like generator boxes and sound like generators too. They will run 24/7. Vodacom will initially try to gain your consent to place a base station on your property. If you refuse, it can still exercise its servitude over your property to install it, as long as they pay a reasonable fee and engage you in a civil and reasonable manner. In deciding what is reasonable compensation and access, Vodacom may use the benchmark set out in the current lease agreement, R4,000 per month. In other words, we have given them the foothold through the lease. EMS Consulting presented to the residents at the EGM of 21 January 2015 and claimed that the radiation emitted by these boosters would be less than that of a toaster, yet microwave frequencies ranging up to 2,690 MHz will be emitted from these cell towers. EMSS is contracted by Vodacom to do many of its project site assessments and inspections, including the Fourways Gardens project. Dr. Martin Blank, PhD from the Department of Physiology and Cellular Biophysics at Columbia University in the US, represented 190 international scientists and engineers from 39 nations in submitting an appeal to the United Nations and the World Health Organization, requesting they adopt more protective exposure guidelines for electromagnetic fields and wireless technology. The appeal highlights WHO's conflicting positions about EMF risk. The World Health Organization continues to ignore its own agency's recommendations and favors guidelines recommended by the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, ICNIRP. Extensive research reports have been done on this topic to raise the alarm and apply a precautionary approach. Governments and health authorities around the world are taking protective measures. Property devaluation is another issue, with material loss of value being noted for homes next to or within sight of a tower. Nobody wants to live near a cell phone tower. Nobody wants to expose their family and children to possible danger. 10 to 12 meter cell towers with noisy electrical boxes are aesthetically unsightly and disturbing. There has been great confusion created regarding connectivity in Fourways Gardens and what is cellular reception versus fiber to the home. The Fourways Gardens Vodacom project was broken down into 2 sections. The first section was to improve cellular reception by installing street light poles, flag poles or rooftop base station sites, 14 of them throughout Fourways Gardens. The second section was to install fiber to the home. The proposal was bundled together to create the sense that these need to go hand in hand to work. This is untrue. Base stations may rely on the fiber, but the fiber would not rely on the base stations. Therefore, it is possible to have fiber to the home without base stations. Vodacom was always going to provide Four Ways Gardens with fibre to the home throughout the estate for free, as long as 40% of residents agreed to the proposal, bearing in mind that this proposal included 14 base station sites. Vodacom's plan was to subcontract Link Africa to do the fibre to the home installation. Just as Link Africa is doing our fibre to the home installation for free, Vodacom may also get the installation for free from Link Africa. Four Ways Gardens has an open access network telecommunications policy in place, which allows other operators to access the fibre line throughout the estate and place their own base stations on this line to improve their own overall network coverage. This plan is evident from documentation and plans provided by Vodacom. The Four Ways Gardens project was broken down into 2 stages. Stage 1, build the fibre line between the Gatehouse and estate office with 2 base station sites. Stage 2, roll out the rest of the fibre to the home line throughout the estate with 12 more base station sites. At the EGM of 21 January 2015, residents did not like the proposal of a fibre to the home with 14 streetlight pole, flagpole, rooftop sites, as concerns were raised about the radiation potential, and the proposal was rejected. So, in order to obtain the approval for a free fibre line to be installed from the Gatehouse to the estate office, presenters at this EGM called these 2 particular rooftop structures boosters instead of base stations, and hence we have base stations and no fibre link between the Gatehouse and the estate office. Let us be clear about what we are voting for. 2 base station sites with potentially 2 base stations installed at each site, according to Vodacom plans and the lease agreement. Therefore, a total of 4. The risk of 12 more base station sites, with 2 base stations at each site being installed within the estate, without the consent of affected landowners, is a very real possibility. Imagine 28 base stations throughout Four Ways Gardens. Our job here, and not only here, but within everything from tobacco and sugar, is to override the imperfect, long road to scientific proof and instead follow a precautionary, common sense approach. This means recognizing the obvious that is staring us in the face and then acting on it as if our family's health hangs in the balance, because it does. Your vote at the EGM is not only for or against the base stations, but it will also set precedent. This will be precedent in favor of transparency, compliance and accountability, or in favor of secrecy and impunity. We thank the current board for assisting us in getting to the bottom of this matter and finding amicable resolution to the issue. Even though we may not always agree, we can always agree to work together in addressing issues that affect the residents of Four Ways Gardens.